Good morning. A long time no see. It's really great to see you. I'll start off by saying Happy New Year. It is finally 2021, and it feels like it's still 2019 to me. 2020 never really started, in my opinion. I went through all of last year thinking that we were still owed a new year, and here we are in 2021, and I still feel that way. So while a lot of people were making the jokes that 2020 is a throwaway year, I'm thinking 2021 might also be another throwaway year. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is this video? Alright, well, I bought this new microphone. Why did I buy it? For ASMR. No, I bought the microphone. I've got some plans with it. One of them is this. Now, this is the Monday Morning Moccasins podcast. This is episode 1. Bear with me. I'm brand new to this. I've never, ever recorded anything like this. But yeah, this is the podcast I'm going to... Yeah, see, there we go. I can't even speak. This is the podcast I'm going to do. And what goes along with podcasts is no jump cuts. So we're going to learn how to speak together. But anyway, Monday Morning Moccasins. I'm not going to commit to weekly, maybe bi-weekly. I don't know. I have to see what the news is like and kind of see where I want to take this and how I want to commit. But anyway, I call it Monday Morning Moccasins because it's going to air Monday mornings, and I wear moccasins. So those are my moccasins right there, and if you're watching, I hope you have a pair of moccasins so you can join us wearing our Monday Morning Moccasins. Anyway, okay, so I've got some notes because I don't know the flow and how I want to do this, but how have you been? I've been pretty well. I just finished my first semester of school at Sac State University. So this is my first time being at a big boy university coming from community college, and it was different. I think I hate it more, surprisingly enough, because I really, really hate Ventura College. I didn't have that great of a time. I ended the semester pretty well. I got all A's except for one B, which was devastating. This is going to sound really bad. Okay, so context. I'm not a very good student. I went through most of my school life, most of my school career with terrible grades. I was threatened to be pulled out of drumline and marching band because I was failing classes and not turning in assignments. I was not a good student. I was not a good student all the way up until about 2018 when I had actually dropped out of college without anybody knowing. It was during my last year of drum corps, Mandarin's 2018. During the summer, I just decided not to register for classes, and I came back. And for a few weeks, about a month, I had left the house at 9 a.m. seeming like I was going to class because my parents thought I was in class, and I was actually going over to Starbucks to work on stuff. Now, work on stuff, you might be asking, well, what'd you work on? Did you do? Well, I did absolutely nothing. The plan was that I wasn't going to go to school, and I was going to find my thing that I was going to do to prove to my parents that I didn't need school, but that went absolutely nowhere, at least in that first month, because I sort of made the decision. I had started dating my girlfriend we now live together. Sort of this situation right here was what I decided for back in 2018. I said, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to transfer to Davis. I wanted to transfer to UC Davis because that's where she went. And so I said, I'm going to get my shit together and I'm going to go to school and I'm going to live up here with you. Well, long story short, Davis didn't want me, but Sac State did. And it wasn't until I made that decision that I was a good student. That semester, that first fall semester 2018 that I was dropped out, I got myself into an online history course to make up a failed history course, and I got a C in that. So I was still learning. But it was the spring semester following that I got my first 4.0, I'm pretty sure ever. And that was really, really great. And then the next year, both fall and spring got 4.0s. And then when I got up here, I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna promise myself a 4.0. I'm up here living on my own for the first time with a girl. I have to pay rent. I've got all these things to worry about. Plus I'm at a university, so the classes are going to be harder. These are upper division classes. So I had my standards not low, but reasonable. I was very realistic about the situation. And there was one course I ended up almost failing. It looked like at the start of the semester, I had gotten a terrible grade on my first essay. The problem was the only things graded in that class were the first two essays and then the final project. So I went essay, final, and those were my grades. We got a participation grade as well, which ended up being pretty significant in my favor too. But terrible grade on that first essay. Second essay, I actually committed to. I said, okay, well, I've got to get a way better grade on this so I can make sure I pass the class, because I wasn't passing the class at the time. And got a way better grade, and it ended up bringing my grade back up from a D to a B, which is awesome. And I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. And I approached the final with, I just need a passing grade. I hate this class. I need to put in enough effort to pass the class. Well, I don't know how to put in half effort. My mom always told me growing up that I do everything half-assed. Well, the truth is I did everything no-assed. Like I was either very, very bad at it, like below bare minimum, or I excelled. And the same, happened with this class. I was failing the class. And then I said, okay, for this final, I've got to put in a little bit of effort. Well, I ended up putting in a lot of effort, and it turned out really, really great, and I got 100% on it. So that brought my grade up to an A. And that was extremely surprising. I had to keep refreshing it and checking to make sure that he didn't accidentally put somebody else's grade into my books. But final grades came out, and there was an A right next to that class, and the rest is history. But the 1B was in my geology class, which was all about like the dinosaurs. It was pretty interesting, except I hated the professor. She looked like she was my age. She looked like she was fresh out of her degree. She got her doctorate, so she, maybe 28. And she was just, she never checked her email. And it was just the only time you ever heard from her was the mandatory Zoom lectures, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And at the end of every single lecture, just so like probably about 5 to 6 people were reminding her that they had sent emails about something. And it mostly was the midterm. She was very lax on when you took the midterm. If you had something come up, she would let you take it later. The problem is that would never happen. She would say, oh yeah, it's all good, and then would never open it for you. And all these people still had to take the midterm the day before the final, the lecture before the final. So not the day before, but a few days before the final. There are people still needing to take the midterm. And luckily, I'm not that type of student where I really need the professor for a ton. So the only time I actually ever emailed her was the day before the final. No, 2 days before the final. So it would have been like 48 hours before the final. I was trying to study for it and fill out the study guide, except she hadn't uploaded the last lecture that we did, which in the study guide, the last 2 questions were from the last lecture, and she hadn't uploaded that yet. So 2 days before the final, I can't answer those questions. I don't remember. And so I need the PowerPoint. And then no response to that first email, 48 hours. I said, hey, can you please upload the last lecture? I need to study for the final that's on Wednesday. Well, that never happened. So 12 hours before the final, the final was at, I believe, 8 a.m. Wednesday morning, so 8 p.m. Tuesday night. I finally emailed her a second time. I said, this is my second email to you. Upload the last lecture. It is 12 hours before the final. This is ridiculous. Well, I guess she might have read that one because maybe 10 minutes later, the last one was uploaded. But man, that class was a mess. We actually had a forum in our Canvas page, like a discussion forum about how she doesn't open the emails. Like one student had added the entire class to this discussion forum and asked, does anyone get an email response from her ever? And everyone, nope, still need to take the midterm, nope. And I was like, this teacher, I swear. And I guess the student had gone to some sort of director of the geology program, I think, and spoke to them about our professor, and it was things were supposed to change, and then they didn't. So I'm not one to really leave reviews on Rate My Professor. I mainly just go read them when I'm picking my classes, but I think this might be the one time I go leave a review. And it's really funny because I was having issues with my history professor to start the semester, and it was him that I was going to go to Rate My Professor and just unleash. I actually unloaded in a discussion forum on that class. He had started one talking about the second midterm after he had already graded, or the second essay after he had already graded the first one. And after my terrible grade, totally my fault in hindsight. Like when I did the second essay, I understood what I did wrong in the first one. But after the first one, I was absolutely livid on how he graded me and what his problems were with the essay. And I went off on him. And he was very cool. It never reflected in my grades. It never got any worse than just me ranting and him responding, defending himself. And it was in a very respectful manner. So it never went back and forth. But after writing the second essay, I totally understand that I was actually in the wrong, and I totally did deserve that first essay grade. But I ended up getting an A in that class after him giving me full credit on the final, and saying how wonderful it was. And yeah, I sound like I'm tooting my own horn here, but it's just funny. So that was my school semester. Life. I've got notes right here. So I might be looking down. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Life is good. I've got a few jobs, I guess you could say. Right when we moved up here, we actually moved into apartment 12, and we lived there for August, September, October, about 3.5-ish months, a little less, because right when I had moved up here, a few weeks being up here, I was working on my truck, and the sort of like head of maintenance, he came up to me and he asked, like, oh, are you like a handyman? Like, you like working on your truck? I'd been out there, a number of days, and I had seen some of the people that work here and all that. And I said, yeah, I bought this truck and I like working on it, and I, do a bunch of crap to it, and one day it'll explode, but yeah, I enjoy it. And so he's like, okay, well, should I keep you in mind for, working on some things around the property? I said, absolutely. And so I was quivering. Wow. I started working for the property, pretty much right after that, so I do a bunch of stuff. It started with replacing garbage disposals in other apartments and figuring out, why this light won't work, or, stuff like that. But then we remodeled a balcony and all that. So it's been fun. But it's a very sort of on-call type of job. So in the long run, didn't feel like it was going to be very sustainable with paying rent. But luckily, kind of what happened at the same time was that this spot that we're in right now was actually my boss's apartment before they moved a year ago. So last January, they ended up buying a house just the town over, and the upstairs to this apartment was available. His son still lives here, so we still have a roommate, and he took the master that's downstairs. And so we have the entire second floor. So the next room over is our bedroom, and this is our office, which is pretty great because the spot we were at before, we had the master bedroom. That was the deal that we had signed in February. We had one roommate, but man, that place was so small. We'd walk out of our bedroom, go down the hall. The first door on the left is our roommate's bedroom, so we were right next to each other. And then the bathroom was the first door on the right, and it had basically his sort of like vanity type area with another door to the toilet and the shower. And then there was another door to the toilet and the shower that connected to our room, which connected to our vanity that was in our room. So on paper, and, two people living with their parents at the time about a year ago, we saw it and we're like, oh yeah, that's the best place. We'll get it. Well, it didn't turn out to be the best. It was very small. Our office area was actually just the dining room area, and our roommate also worked in the living room. So his desk was actually in the living room. So anytime, we were working on stuff, doing school or whatever, we were all just in that same kind of general living area because there's no like sectioned, it's an apartment. So the kitchen connects to the dining room, connects to the living room, connects to the hallway, connects to the bedrooms. Like it's all just, right there. And it wasn't an ideal situation. And not to mention that our roommate actually kept his motorcycle in the living room, parked just in the middle of the living room. That's because he had a motorcycle stolen a number of years ago when, living in the same place. But I was very cool with it at first, and then I got very uncool with it very quickly. We actually had to talk him into moving it a little bit so that we could have a coffee table, because we didn't have a coffee table. We just sat on the couch and stared at the motorcycle. But anyway, we're out of that place and we're in here, which my boss so generously offered us. And we're having a blast. It's a fully remodeled townhome. It's the best apartment here on the complex. It doesn't even really feel like an apartment. It feels more like a townhome. The only thing that makes it feel like an apartment is the floors are a little creaky. So we're, walking around upstairs and but that's a very small price to pay for what we're paying for this place. It's, it's pretty special. So that's what's going on in my life. I guess that's just one job. I mentioned a couple of jobs. The second job is I actually do some video stuff for the Sacramento State School of Music now, which is pretty cool. It's still unofficial. I haven't signed anything. I haven't done the official application. Hopefully I get that tomorrow, but today as you're watching this. I record these on Sunday morning. They go up Monday morning. So hopefully Monday morning I'll have that. But how that got around is for the Sac State Marching Band, which I participated in, we were doing our pep tunes and, the songs and all that, just like any marching band would, except we had to make them virtual. So we all recorded them individually, and I actually volunteered to help basically stitch them together. I synced everybody's videos up, and that got sent to another person that did the squares and, just kind of the virtual stuff that you would normally see nowadays. But I got myself into that, which is, it wasn't bad. They paid me for it, so it was great. I was happy to do it. And then my band director, Santi, he called me and he said, hey, they need somebody kind of to be their video guy. Basically, the School of Music needs somebody around to do video. I said, yeah, I'll do it. Just, give me more information. And so the plan was that the end of January was sort of when I was going to start. Like when spring semester starts is when I start. Well, what ended up happening, let me make sure this thing's still recording. Anyway, what was that? Oh my God, this is going to be rough. This podcast is going to be rough, I swear. Okay, what was I talking about? Okay, so they needed a person for video. I was going to start at the end of January. I said, that's great. Another source of income. Beautiful. I can pay rent. Well, then I get an email from one of the faculty members saying, hey, this is like maybe December 20th, that, hey, we need a video done and it's due January 8th. I said, okay. And they said, yeah, but with COVID and all this stuff, we don't really know how to do it. And so we kind of went back and forth on some ideas, and like, I'll show up to campus, we'll be socially distanced, we'll use hand sanitizer, but we'll record, these interviews in person. And basically the video was just a short 3-minute promo video for this event that they're going to, sort of like some sort of music educator convention type of thing. And this is like ad space. Essentially, it's a commercial for the Sacramento State School of Music. So we had gone back and forth on some of these ideas, and right when we hit like the holidays, like right when campus closed and everyone went home, we didn't really have a solid idea of what we were going to do. So throughout the holidays, I sort of was just like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And so I had it in my head. Campus opened January 4th, so I had to wait several days after New Year's when I'm already back home, and I'm like, we got to get this video done. It's due next Friday, essentially. And so New Year's Day, I emailed, my contact, and I said, okay, let's set up, all this. Here's when I'll come film, and we'll get this thing going. Well, I get that holiday automatic response like, oh, I will email you back on Monday when we're all back at campus. And I was like, oh my God, we have to wait till like 4 days before this is due to do it. So Monday morning rolls around, I get the email back. We set up what we're going to do. We set up for filming the next day. So the Tuesday, I went to campus, and of course it's so short notice. Only one student showed up. My buddy Grant, I marched with in Mandarins. So that was great. Thank you, Grant, if you're watching this. And we got it done though. Grant did a great job. He said pretty much everything we needed to say, and the stuff he didn't say, I covered with animation and slides and all that. And we had one girl that was supposed to show up during the interviews. She didn't, but she still sent in this video, and we made that work, and we put it in. It's just this 3-minute video, and we made it happen. But the School of Music was super stoked on it, and so I have basically been offered it's not full time, but like I've been offered the position of like the video guy in the department. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first episode of the podcast. I'll have to put some funny photo on the screen. My camera stopped recording, I think because it has a time limit. So I don't know where that cut off. But anyway, New Year's resolutions. I hate them. I don't make them anymore. I used to, but I never did them. And that was my biggest problem. People will say, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a journal. I'm going to write songs. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do more of this. I'm going to be nicer to people. I'm blah, 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 but then they do it for a week and then they just go back, because we are very, we're creatures of habit. So you can't just change something because it's a new year, like if you actually wanted to change something about yourself, you would have done it before or after, or like you would have just done it. It's not like a brand new year all of a sudden is going to be different, Anyway, I don't make them, but I sort of started one. I just never called it a New Year's resolution. It was just something that I want to do, that I just happen to start on the 1st because it's a very clean number, 1-1. And that is just get outside every day. It's very inspired by the pandemic, and I was catching myself just being inside all day and just doing nothing. And so especially now that I'm in the middle of, that kind of like fall semester ended, spring doesn't start till January 25th. What am I going to do? And so I made it a goal that I'm going to get outside every single day. And it doesn't have to be like I go outside and run or I go for a really long walk. Just get outside, just give it fresh air, see the sky. And literally the other day, my get outside was I walked over to the store real quick to get my girlfriend a Diet Sprite. So that was my get out, But like yesterday, I walked for an hour. A couple days ago, I ran. Today, I'll probably run. But yeah, just get outside every day and just try to deal with this whole situation and, get some time to forget about it. I know it's kind of counterintuitive to go outside into the public and, see people wearing masks and see businesses closed and all that to try to get away from it. But it's just important to get outside and, get some sun and get some air. And I don't think a lot of people are doing that now because they don't have to go outside to walk to their car, to go to work, to sit inside, to walk out to their car at 5 o'clock to go home and sit inside. So, that 5 minutes of them getting some air time that doesn't, or fresh air, that's not happening. So I'm going to try to be better about that. But I guess that is my New Year's resolution, just not called a New Year's resolution. Okay, so back on sort of what this is, Monday Morning Moccasins. What the heck are we doing? So I'm just going to be uploading a video either every Monday or every other Monday, and we're just going to, shoot the shit in the beginning, just like that. And then we'll move on to some news, specifically drum corps news. We're going to be talking DCI and WGI stuff as the events sort of progress and evolve, and we're going to see what's going on in the world. And after I do the news, we're going to get into Q&A. And so that's why I asked on my community page, working on a video, give me some Q&A questions. Well, I didn't want to basically give away that I was doing this sort of podcasty video. And so I understand that it wasn't a very intriguing post to ask a question on. I got one question, so we'll be answering that today. But normally, leave your questions in the comments of the podcast video itself. So today, after you watch this, leave a comment below. That'll be next week's or the week after's Q&A questions for episode 2. And so that's how it'll work, going forward in the future. And those are sort of the segments I have right now. I really, really like in the future to invite people on, and we'll do some sort of like Zoomy Skype type of thing. And so I'll let you know when we have a guest so that you can tailor your questions, a week before to them. So like, let's say I get my buddy Rich on here, and you've been dying to ask Richard Ramos this question. You can leave that in the comment below, and when we film, the following week, he'll be able to answer that question for you. So things like that. I totally didn't run that by him. I just dropped his name. So if he watches this, I hope he would want to do that. If not, I'll look like an a-hole. So guess is something that I'd like to do. I'd like to grow into something to where people send me stuff. That'd be really great. I think it'd be cool to have a segment on here that we can talk about something new, something tangible that's new. I'm very materialistic, so I think that would be really, really great. I give me stuff, gimme. I think that would be fun. Let's say a new signature stick comes out. Let's say Vic Firth comes out with a new version of a slim pad. Like those are very lofty. Those are huge, companies that don't know who I am, but I think that would be cool. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, and then we'll probably just finish it up with the Q&A. And that's sort of the plan. All right, well, let's start with the news. Okay, so I'm over on DCI.org. And this bit of news that was posted December 3rd, I'm catching up a little bit, all right? The news will be more recent, as these podcasts move forward. But yeah, December 3rd, they announced that Drum Corps International has some plans for a series of drum corps events to be held in Indy on August 12th, 13th, and 14th of this year, which is exciting. So finals week, what would have been finals week, they've got some stuff. So they're working with some public health and safety people about what they can do, and the reopening, and some medical professionals, and they're going to try to make something happen, which I think is really great, because it's not very smart to just sit there and let things marinate and just let them get worse. And so this is an attempt to try to get things going again for drum corps. For the next few years, it's going to be very different. Everyone might luck out. If everyone goes back on tour, everyone might have their own seat, and it's going to be expensive to have 8 buses for each drum corps, but that might be an option. I doubt that'll happen, but that would be funny. So yeah, and I noticed that it's very unfortunate the 2022 season is DCI's 50th anniversary season, and I think that's going to be absolutely terrible if the 50th anniversary of DCI is spent virtual or doesn't happen at all. So I'd really hope that people can get back on the field and we can have a full tour like we did next summer, the summer of 2022. That's over a year away. It would be January camps for the 2022 season are a year away, and I think that could be doable. I think they could figure it out. With the vaccine kind of rolling out, I got to be careful what I say on here. YouTube gets pissed off when you talk about, I already said the word. I already said COVID earlier. All right, well, we'll see if this gets flagged. I won't be able to make any money off of this because I said those words. But anyway, with the vaccine rolling out, I think they should be able to make it happen. So what are they going to do, though, this year, finals week in Indy? I feel like they're going to do those events that they started a few years ago, like they started them many years ago, like the drumline battle stuff. I think they'll have things like that, but I think they'll open it up to other instruments. So I think we might see like a brass battle, like it'll be corps, one-on-one, because the number of participants is going to be very, very small. They are not going to get 150 people to participate in whatever they're trying to do. And so I think we're just going to see sort of a catalog of one-on-one events, drumline battle, brass battle, rifle battle, stuff like that. And I think they'll still do I&E. I think people will be allowed to prepare solos. They can go, into the rooms with the chairs all socially distanced, and the judge, at least he's already super far away, or she. The judge is already super far away from you, so I don't think you have to worry about that. But yeah, I think I&Es will still happen, which will be cool, because I think that's one of my favorite parts about DCI is just being able to see the performers come up with something while they're already working on this amazingly hard production all summer. They can then show up at the end and say, I also did this, and they can throw it down. So I think that's what they're going to be doing for 2021. It's just going to be stuff like that, and probably some virtual stuff throughout the summer. Each corps that participates in this will probably have some sort of end of the summer video prepared. So we'll see what goes on with that. Next, we're going to go to the individual corps news. So the first one, let's talk about the Crossman. So this was the first one that caught my eye. Sorry, it's not, but it's the first one we're going to talk about right now. Crossman's January virtual percussion camp, starting the 16th. It's the weekend of the 16th and 17th. And this caught my eye because it was the first time I'd really seen that somebody was doing a camp now. But I believe it's a virtual camp. But I love that they're doing something. So you can go on here. Yeah, I think the entire corps is having a camp. You can do brass, guard, percussion, battery. I think they're all doing it. And it doesn't look like there's an age limit. So should I audition for Crossman? Should I march Crossman for the 2021 season? So yeah, they're having a virtual camp. The percussion virtual camp is $50, and it's January 16th through the 17th, and it's, practice pad and sticks, the packet. It's just, like a normal camp, but it's virtual. So all campers will receive, that sounds funny, all campers, you little summer campers, whippersnappers, all campers will receive virtual access for participation via the email used to register as soon as the payment is processed. So you pay, you get a Zoom link, and you get to learn from the staff, which I believe is still that dude from Blue Coats, maybe? I don't know. The Crossman drums have always been pretty impressive, so there should be some good information if you choose to do that. And I know a number of corps are doing similar, like moving on to Madison. Madison's having spring auditions, and they have a whole sort of curriculum called Mad U. Side note, I really, really like the Madison Scouts' use of Mad. They've been doing it since I can remember. Obviously, it probably started way back in the 80s or whatever, maybe before. But I just really like how everything is Mad. So like Mad Guard, Mad U classes. So it's like Madison Scouts University type thing. But it's probably not a big deal to anybody else, but just the brand of Mad. I think that's cool. You can't really do that with the Mandarins. Man drums. Man guard. Anyway, Madison's doing the same thing. So they got these Mad U classes that you can have access to after you register, and they even offer individual lessons. But these are courses that run from February 1st to May 2nd. So they're a little bit more elaborate than a camp, it sounds like. You record an audition video and it gets evaluated. And then you attend a virtual event. So it looks like you get access to these classes. You have, certain resources available, like individual lessons. You record your audition video, and then you get access to these virtual events, and you get cut or you get a spot. So that's pretty cool. They keep talking about how 2021 is a bridge into 2022. So I'm wondering, oh, wow. Okay, yeah, so I just saw on here available positions, 2 snares, 1 bass. That's weird. 6 baritones, 2 tubas, 4 trumpets. Do they already have a line? Do they update this? I've been so out of touch. I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, January 6th, 2021, as of then, they only have 2 snare spots. So I'm wondering if they don't have any, there's no quads listed, so they have all the quads. I'm wondering if that's age outs or current members that have committed to doing whatever they're going to be doing in 2021. And so that brings me back to this bridge idea. A lot of, DCI has said it. Some of these other corps have said it, like Crossman said it, but the 2021 season is a bridge into 2022. So I'm wondering if just the members of 2021, despite maybe being an age out, I don't even think age is an issue right now. I can do this if I wanted to. But it sounds like the participating members of 2021 will automatically be in the drum corps in 2022 if they choose to. This whole thing is just so up in the air. I have no idea what's going on. So hopefully as time progresses, we can kind of figure it out. Next bit of news. The Cavaliers will be back on the field in green in 2021. Happy New Year. So December 30th, they had posted this little promo picture of announcing that the greens are back. And at first I said, I don't know what this means. But then I realized their uniforms, they did that thing that a lot of cores are doing where they make brand new uniforms. Oh, we are almost going to die. This battery's going to die. Okay, we're back. I've got a battery charging. Who knows how long this one will last, but anyway, I realized that the Cavaliers did that thing where they change their uniforms every year. So the Cavaliers 2019, the most recent, real year, they had these fancy dancy uniforms. I really admire this guy's beard, by the way. I enjoyed watching the Cavaliers this year, this 2019 year, specifically because of his beard. But yeah, so, these were pretty cool. I felt, they reminded me of Crown. That was the only thing, was that they looked like Carolina Crown. But, they fit the year. And then, 2018, they were just in all black. I don't even remember this show. But yeah, they had the all black. Wait a second. Was there a 2018 show? Did they have Warshock stuff also? Bro, what? Did I not even... Okay, I'm going to have to go back. And I'm going to have to go back and watch the Cavaliers in 2018 because it looks like they had the same show as us. But anyway, what is this, 2017 was Men Are From Mars. That was one of my favorite Cavaliers shows, but they've always had these shoulder pad uniforms, which look really funny. And then, what year is this, 2016? They had that propaganda year, which is another one of my favorite shows. This battery's going to die again. None of my batteries are charged. We're going to have to take a break. This was a cool show. But anyway, they're going back to the greens, which is the Cavaliers news that they posted on the 30th. So that's cool. It'll be cool. I think that's going to happen across the board. I think a lot of the cores are going to go back to their traditional uniforms. It was sort of like they went through that phase, and then a lot of the alumni of the drum corps were very upset. I know that happened in Madison in 2017. They were absolutely livid with their uniform and show design. And so I think we'll see most of the drum corps go back. It'll be fun to see the Bluecoats do it. I think they're one of the main corps that I really miss their uniforms, and so I'd love to see them go back to their helmets. But my all-time favorite year for the Cavaliers in their uniforms would be 2013. It was one of my favorite shows. It was my first year marching, so it was my first year, get to see the big boys. And the Cavaliers, I remember specifically, I thought they had the coolest uniforms. It was that Illuminati show, and so they had those black robes, and it was just, the drums were just they were that glossy black, and they just looked so mean. And the book was pretty cool. It looked easy, but it was pretty cool. It looked really hard for me at the time, but now when I watch it, it looks pretty easy. But I think that was one of their coolest years for uniforms, and one of their coolest shows. Next to 2011, which I believe was the Upside Down Quad year, when they won drums, I believe. That was a really good year. We're going to take a break. I'm going to let this battery charge, and we'll come back with the WGI news. I'll be right back. And we're back. I had to let a battery charge for a little bit. We'll see if we can fix that problem and if we can get one clean take next time. But moving on to WGI 2021, their whole virtual thing is pretty interesting too. So they have a little video, a little promo video that I watched, but basically You have the opportunity of doing something by yourself, doing something in a small ensemble, doing something in a group, and then there's some sort of e-showcase. So it's funny, I&Es are in WGI now. I don't know if they did that back in the day, but some winter programs are what's the word? Like SCPA and PAC, like other ones. SCPA doesn't do it, but you see around the country some of these other winter competitive, what is the word? Organizations. They do I&Es, and so you can find some high schoolers doing I&E for these indoor circuits. Circuits is the word. But you can also put together like a small ensemble with some of your friends, and it could either be affiliated with a school or some sort of organization of some sort, or it could just be by yourself. You can make up a name. So that's kind of cool. You can make up your own little WGI group. And they have like a bigger group, sort of one that will probably be more affiliated with a school. So a high school might participate in this. And then there's some little showcase where they're going to show videos, I guess. But you also can choose to do a competitive season or a non-competitive season, which is kind of fun. So if you click on competitive, the solo division, I guess I'll click on the overview and we'll talk about that. I only read the rules, so we're reading these together for the first time. So there's 3 classes. You can be as young as an infant, I guess, because the first one's 13 and under. So you can be 10 and do this, which is kind of cool. That gives middle schoolers, kind of a chance to, do some I&Es. 14 to 18 is the second division, and then 19 and up. And so there's no cap. So like I said about the DCI 2021 season about auditioning for Crossman, I can do this if I wanted, but I won't. They have a time limit. So just like, it's kind of very similar to the I&E rules. If you're choosing to do the color guard, you get a minute and a half up to 3 minutes. If you're doing percussion and wind solos, you get 2 to 4 minutes. You film it with a camera, you get 1 take, and you pay $25 to submit it. And yeah, there's some more rules in with that, but it's kind of cool. WGI I&E. So I'm wondering if the setting of it being within WGI is going to be different, with the approach compared to DCI I&Es. DCI I&Es seem to have a very sort of like kind of an unspoken system. Like it's every I&E that goes through DCI is relatively the same. You start off with your little RAM section. Going back to what I did with my I&Es to basically prove this system is you start off with your RAM section. It's like your opener, and then you play as many notes as you can in that one little section, that one little 30-second section, and you go into a groove section, which would be like your ballad, and then you get back into some more rammy stuff to close out that section, and then maybe you pull out some other implements. So like next is the brush section or whatever, and that's sort of kind of like your third movement of your production, or like what would be the bridge, I guess, and then your closer, which is again as many notes as you possibly could play with the amount of time you have left. But I'm wondering with this WGI version, if someone might do something a little bit different, with being able to record it at home and being able to kind of have full creative freedom and not, be held to trying to figure out, this solo during a really hot drum corps summer and then play it in a small room. Essentially a cappella is what I'm getting at. You might be able to see some people use different resources, like somebody might use some music. I don't know. I'd have to go into the rules to really check to see what you can and cannot do with this, but someone might make a really cool like hip hop track, and they might do something that's a little bit more like Ralph Nader-esque with their solo or something, and you might hear a full-on WGI production playing in the background that has like marimbas or something, and it's just like this little like 3-minute WGI show, which might be kind of cool. But it's the person being judged is just the single person playing the snare drum or whatever, or the tenor drum, or you might see a WGI wins participant with a full brass section backing them, and they're playing trumpet solos and stuff. I don't know. That might be kind of cool to see. So we'll kind of have to see where that goes. I know Sac State is doing something within this. I was asked to be a part of, they're doing a few ensembles, a few like 9-person ensembles, because the rule is 10 people for your groups. So you have 9 drummers and then your instructor, because it's 10 people in the same area, to make this whole thing happen. So I think it's going to be like 2 snare drums and then 2 quads and 5 bass or whatever, and then your tech. But I know they're doing something, and so I'm excited to kind of see what they do. But that is the news segment for episode 1. Some DCI news, some WGI news. Hopefully, as time progresses, we'll get some more information on what's going on with DCI and what they really mean by the finals week events that are happening in Indy in August. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do and to see how that transition goes from the current state of things to hopefully a full drum corps season again in 2022. I'm really curious to see what they do about the whole age out situation, because when this started and basically canceled the WGI season in the middle of it, and then canceled the upcoming DCI season, and they said that if you were an age out, you get another year, which would have been these 2 seasons. If you were an age out in WGI, you would be marching 2021 WGI as a 24-year-old. If you had that bonus and you were 23, whatever. Same thing with drum corps. You could march drum corps as a 22-year-old, or a 23-year-old. The age out is 22. But yeah, I'm curious to see if you get some 2020 age outs marching the 2022 season. I think that would be kind of fun. But anyway, that's the news. We're going to move on now to the one Q&A question I got. But like I said, in the future, comment below each episode for the Q&A questions for the next episode. So leave your questions below in this episode, and episode 2, I will get to answer them. So the one question I have comes from Camille Mathis, and he's got 2 questions, a 2-parter. So I really have 2 questions. The first one's drumming related, and he asks, what's your go-to stick / pad combo? I'm very, off the cuff, Mike Jackson's and a slim pad. But I can elaborate into that. I'm very adventurous with drum pads, and at one point I owned a lot of drum pads, and I'd since gotten rid of some, and I only have 2 drum pads here with me up here. I think I have like 2 back home down in SoCal, but I have my slim pad and I have my Invader. I use the Invader more because it's a little bit quieter than the slim pad. I actually stick the slim pad underneath the Invader, and it sort of muffles it. But I bought actually the slim pad brand new before my 2018 drum corps season, and I used it throughout that entire summer, and I loved it. I was using Ike Jackson's at the time because those are the sticks that we were using, but Mike Jackson's are probably my favorite stick. And so a good pair of balanced Mike Jackson's on a slim pad, ones that they feel soft, but they don't feel light. because that slim pad material is so thin, if you get just sticks that are just balanced terribly, like they feel really butt heavy, you just, well, a bad pair of sticks is a bad pair of sticks. But yeah, so I'd say a slim pad and Mike Jackson's. But I do like the Invader V3. I've had the same Invader V3 since I was a freshman. My dad ordered it for me when I showed him. I said I really want this drum pad, and he ordered it for me as a surprise. And I've had that pad ever since. And I've done god awful things to it. Remember when they came out with those little carbon fiber oval stickers? Skojo actually has one put in his pad. When they came out with those, I bought one of those and stuck it on there, and then I was like, I don't like this anymore, and I ripped it off, and it took up some of that material with it. The little Off-World Percussion logo badge that was on there, I ripped that off, and I would like move it around and glue it and super glue, and oh yeah, that pad, the rim of it has been colored many different colors with spray paint, and I've gotten spray paint on, like, it would rub off on sticks and stuff, and I used to have like electrical tape around it. I'd since taken a spray paint that I actually used on my truck. It's a bed liner material. It's a Rust-Oleum bed liner, and so it's a black paint, but it's textured. And I had some of that left over in a can, and so I actually used that to put sort of a textured black material back around the rim, similar to what they come stock, but. I love that pad. I've had it ever since, and I've toyed with the idea of buying a new one just because I knew I shouldn't have, fucked with it that much, but I still love that pad, and I probably won't buy a new one because I don't drum as much anymore. But anyway, moving on, non-drumming related, what do you do to cope with day-to-day life during this pandemic? That's a hard question because, full honesty, my life isn't that hard during this whole thing. A lot of things worked out for me in 2020. A lot of things that I had goals of worked out. I moved out of my parents' house. I bought a new vehicle, and I, going to a new school, and I'm getting good grades, and I'm, being able to pay rent and, live on my own, and all. So it's like, I'm not in sort of a situation to, be like, oh, woe is me. I've got, the pandemic is so hard, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I feel terrible for some people that are, put in situations, because of the pandemic that really kind of leave them, falling back on their heels and just kind of, feeling like, that they can't get anywhere. So I don't have, I'm not going to sit here and try to talk about first world problems about not being able to go to parties and concerts as something that I need to cope with, because I don't. It's unfortunate. I miss them, but I don't. It's okay. They'll come back at some point. I've got, my health. I've got a place to live. I've got food to eat. So I don't really have anything that I need to cope with, but I will say that if you are someone that is experiencing some things as a result of the pandemic where you just, you feel like you're spinning your wheels, you're going nowhere, you're cooped up, you're feeling, depressed or anxious or whatever. This is not an advice column, and I don't have any merit to tell you what to do to deal with your problems. But I would just say, like, go for a walk. Like, I say it all the time, and it's really cliche, and I'm sure a lot of people that I know that I say this to are sick of me saying it to them, but just walk. Like, just, if you're sitting there and you're just like, you're cooped up and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this, just leave it alone and just go for like a 30-minute walk. And I swear that it opens up your mind so much. It makes you feel relaxed, and it is just, yeah. But try to do it in a park. Like, don't go walk in your, I mean, I guess if you only have access to go walk in your neighborhood, it is what it is. But sometimes if you're walking around and you see things that are a result of what is bothering you, like, let's say you are so stressed out that, let's say COVID's got you down and you go and walk in your city and you just see these small businesses with their doors boarded up and closed and no one's out and all that might make you a little bit more upset. So I wouldn't say do that. Try to stick to a place that you aren't going to be reminded of that stuff. But yeah, people are out walking their dogs, and seeing people, we all need that social interaction. And I know we're supposed to not have social interaction right now, but just going out and just seeing people like being happy, like walking their dogs, a lot of people walking their kids in the strollers, and kids are, playing, running around in the field. Like if you just go see that, it makes you so much happier. Like yesterday I was walking and I came up on a park that's pretty close to me, and there was youth football happening. Like I don't really know what the whole situation was, like if the city had approved this. I know my brother's playing some sports, so I'd imagine that it got the green light from the city, and this wasn't really anything, crazy and that anybody should freak out about. But I sat there and I watched some football. Like it was so cool just to see some kids play football and see some parents like yell like good job like to their kid, like they're doing something, they're being active, they're playing a sport, and their parents are out watching them. And there was a couple guys at the skate park. Like it feels really good just to see people do things. And so I guess coping with day-to-day pandemic life is just, if you can, just try to get a taste of things how they used to be. Obviously within reason. You can't go to a bar, you can't eat in a restaurant, you can't go to a party, you can't go to a concert. I know it sucks, but you can go outside and you can see people, and you can just get some sun, and just be with yourself and just think about what you want to do to make yourself happy in this situation. Don't fixate on the things that are making you upset with this, because they're not in your control. And if you just worry about them so much, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And so just get a hobby, or go for a walk and just get your mind off things and just focus on what you want to do in this year, what's going to make you happy in this year, and try just not to focus on it, because it's going to do what it does. It's going to be here for a little bit, and we can only do what we're allowed to do. And yeah, you just can't control it. So there's no point in worrying about it so much, to an extent. Obviously, if you're sick or if someone you love is sick, then yes, it's a very pressing matter and it's priority. But if you're fine, but it's kind of gotten you down a little bit and you're a little stressed out about it, just find those ways, take your mind off of it, and you'll be all right. I don't really know if that even answered the question, but I'm going to end it with that. Thank you so much for watching episode 1 of the Monday Morning Moccasins podcast. If you don't have a pair of moccasins, go get a pair, because they're very comfortable and you should wear them every Monday morning with me watching this podcast and drinking your coffee. Leave your questions below for me to answer in episode 2. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know how often I'm going to do it. I'd like to do it every Monday, but if there's no news, well, maybe we'll have to come up with something. But anyway, thanks for watching. That whole bit, like and subscribe and comment and all that. Give me that good YouTube money. Although I said COVID a lot of times in this video, so I don't think this will be monetized. I think they will block it, but we will see. Cue outro music.